Elden Ring Nightreign released for the PC through Steam and on both Xbox and PlayStation consoles in May of 2025. Retailing for $40, it's a roguelike set in the Elden Ring universe that lets you match with two other players in order to take down bosses while the map slowly restricts your movement in the same way as a battle royale. Endlessly replayable, there's a main storyline that took me 30 hours to beat. There are also character quests for each of the game's 6 main characters, with 2 additional characters unlocked by playing through the game. These provide a bit of extra lore and background to the events that's taking place. So is Elden Ring Nightreign worth playing on console? This review is going to answer that question.
Long, long ago, the lands between were visited by a great war. The Shattering, as it was known, destroyed order itself. Drawing forth in time an abomination.
Let's begin, as we always do, by discussing the graphics and technical performance of Nightreign on console. I played it on the PlayStation 5 with Performance Mode graphics quality option selected. Right off the bat, I would not recommend playing Nightreign on anything else besides Performance Mode. Souls-like require a good, stable frame rate, and Performance Mode gives you that, although there were a few times when the FPS would drop. Technically, Nightreign does run good, there aren't a lot of bugs or glitches, and the FPS drops are infrequent and normally only occur when there's a lot happening on screen and you're running across the map. Most of Nightreign's technical problems come from server issues. There are a lot of times where enemies will not respond, or they'll rubber band floating across the ground while your companions do the same. There isn't much you can do with network slowdowns, especially when you play with random people from all over the world. It was only a problem a few times in my 30 hours of playtime, and mostly it would resolve itself pretty quickly. But the matchmaking can be hit and miss. Each run or expedition can be done solo, with one other player, or in teams of 3. You select which boss you want to target from the round table in your base, and the game will matchmake you with other players seeking to do the same boss. Matchmaking can sometimes be really fast, and other times you just won't get a match. It entirely depends on the time of day, and some bosses are just more popular than others. But there's another hindrance to matchmaking, and that's the fact that what you have unlocked during your playthrough affects your matches. You open new regions as you beat bosses, 2 new characters by collecting items or pursuing their quest lines, and character storylines as you play. These unlocks do limit the pool of players significantly, since you won't match with players who don't have them. You can't go to the mountaintop section of the map unless everyone you play with has that section unlocked as well. Conversely, if you don't have it, you can't join with those players. It was never a huge deal, and I did manage to do all the bosses with random players and rarely had problems finding a match. But early in the morning and during weekdays meant that I had to stick with the more popular bosses, but I was never stuck for matches for long.
Thus fell upon us the night. Now heavy rains harry the region, threatening to wash away its very history. The Night Lord does not rest.
Let's talk about the story of Nightreign. It's set either before Elden Ring or in an alternate version, depending on your interpretation of the story. Basically, the Elden Ring was shattered and night descended on the lands between. The Night Lord took control of the land, and it's up to the characters in the Round Table Hold to defeat them. There are 8 main bosses, each being a Night Lord, and in order to find the main bad guy and the source of the problems in the land, you need to kill at least 5 of these bosses. Once you do, the final boss of the game is unlocked. The story itself is similar to Elden Ring, in which you aren't entirely sure what's happening since lore and information is doled out very slowly throughout the game, and it's up to the player to find as much information as you want, or you can easily ignore it in favor of the gameplay. What sets Nightreign apart from Elden Ring is that you don't create your own character. Instead, there's 8 to choose from, each with their own style and background. As you play with each, their journal will update to give you more information about who they are and their motivations. Each character will have what's called remembrances, which are memories unlocked by completing missions in the world during your runs. These remembrances can lead to alternate endings of the game, so it's encouraged that you do all of them. But in classic FromSoft fashion, the game never really tells you how to progress the character journal entries. Sometimes it's just to play as the character, but other times it may require you to beat a Night Lord or another boss as that character before progressing their storyline. Luckily, you can beat the same Night Lords repeatedly, and you can play solo if you want to just focus on certain storylines instead of rushing the main boss. Overall, the storyline is just window dressing for the action and a way to explain how the developers have the same assets from Elden Ring as well as the Demon's Souls remake in Nightreign. It works and it fits in with FromSoft Souls games perfectly. The story is engaging enough to keep you wanting to fight the bosses, with enough lore hidden in the character's journal to make you want to play as that character, instead of sticking to your favorite like you might normally do. But if you don't want to go searching out for it, you won't really miss anything.
As it ravages the lands between beyond recognition. But there are those who would fight back. The Nightfarers. Brought together by happenstance, their commonalities are but few. No shared station, era, or even purpose. Yet together, they are bound by a will. The will to cross the endless night and fight on.
As I said in the start of the review, Nightreign is a roguelike, meaning that you're going to complete runs with the goal of defeating the selected boss. Each run starts at Round Table Hold, where you practice with the character, switch between them, select what relics you want to give them that boost certain attributes. You can even purchase new outfits for them, as you can't customize the look of your character in any other way. This may seem like a detriment for people who are used to the customization and character building in Elden Ring, but it works just fine for Nightreign. The 8 characters each focus on a specific play style, not just warrior, priest, and mage, but also bow users, agility focused, bleed focused, etc. While you can switch weapons during a run, each character has a minor and a major ability that fits within a certain theme. The mage can regain focus points while the priest can summon spirits. When you're in a run, you can level up at Sites of Grace, reaching a maximum of level 15, but you don't get to choose where you put your skill points in, instead it's just automatic. This means that you try to play in the style of your character, focusing on weapons and items that match them rather than trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. The runs themselves take place over 3 nights. You are dropped into the map from the sky, and you circle around the map as it slowly shrinks as time passes, forcing you to focus on certain areas for upgrades or bosses for ruins. If you're outside that circle, your health will quickly deplete. At the end of the day, you're forced into a small section of the map and you fight a major boss. Once they're defeated, the second day starts, the circle is expanded once again, and it allows you to explore the map. The process repeats again until the 3rd night, where you're teleported to a new area and fight the last boss. The map is the same each run, but the placement of ruins and bosses do change. There are also different sections that are unlocked as you progress through the storyline. The mountaintop, Scarlet Rot Woods, a magma cavern, and a city are all new sections that can appear on your run, but not necessarily every time. The map changes just enough to keep things fresh and interesting to keep playing, but it's familiar enough that you can always find your way around and know where certain objects and bosses always appear. The goal of the first day is to collect enough upgrades to survive the first boss battle. The same with the second. The last boss always has a certain specific elemental weakness, and you should gear with that in mind. If they're weak to lightning, for example, you should have a lightning weapon for that last boss. There is a significant amount of RNG for your builds, and they can make a huge difference. You can beat any run if you're skilled enough, but most people are going to require luck to get the right weapons, the right spells, and the right talismans for their build. If everything aligns correctly, you can shred the bosses. But if something is off, the game becomes really difficult. Overall, I would say the difficulty of Nightreign is easier than Elden Ring. Since you're playing with other people, it's less stressful, it's more relaxing, and it's more fun than Elden Ring since you have people to help you. The difficulty swings depending on the boss you find and the character you play as, and the team you're in and the RNG items you collect along the way. Even the most beginner of players can eventually beat the game if they have the right team, get the right items, but there's more than enough difficulty here for the most experienced Souls players. After 30 hours, I can still have fun playing a run and find new bosses, areas, or weapons that I haven't seen before.
This is a fine achievement for which I am grateful. Indeed, a promising first step. However, the Night Lord yet lives.
Okay, let's go into the pros and cons of Nightreign. For the pros, the game is addictive and fun, retaining the combat and gameplay of Elden Ring and combining it with the replayability of a roguelike. The multiplayer makes it fun to play and takes the burden of being perfect and the stress that can come from a FromSoft game and make it more relaxing. You're still going to be on the edge of your seat at times, but you can also play while listening to a podcast. The story is interesting, and while I wish there was more lore, there is enough here to dive into and want to see the end of. For the cons, some players will not like the fact that you can't customize your character. While the leveling and characters work for a roguelike, I can see people missing the freedom of Elden Ring. The runs can feel really rushy, especially for new players. You need to know the map and the target things in a timely manner if you want to succeed. A run can take you a half an hour or more, but you really feel that shrinking circle and it's always a race against the clock. The network issues and matchmaking can be hit and miss. Sometimes there's lots of players to get matched with, and other times there's no one. If someone has network issues, it can ruin a run because if they get kicked out, a new player isn't automatically placed into your run, leaving you a character short. And that's it for another review. So is Nightreign worth playing on console? Absolutely, I had a blast playing it. I went in thinking that I wouldn't enjoy this game as much as Elden Ring, but I think I like it as much as, or even more than a traditional Souls game. I think that when Nightreign 2 is eventually made, FromSoft has a real winning formula to work off of here. It's worth $40 and you should pick it up on console if what you're seeing on screen interests you right now. Thanks for watching on The Casual Console Gamer, and I'll see you all in the next review.